What's up, Warriors fans, and welcome back to Warriors Latest. As always, I am your host, Max Arizin. Thanks again for liking, subscribing, and hit that notification bell, as it does help the channel continue to grow as the season moves along. And again, I really appreciate it. Now, last few days have been an interesting one, especially for the Dubs, because one, we had that Draymond incident where, Draymond just walks in, leaves the bench, walks in the locker room to quote unquote cool down after a fight with Steve Kerr. And I got to admit, Draymond was the bigger man right there. And after Coach Kerr admitted that it was more on him, like really instigating that fight because he just put too much on Draymond. It was good on Draymond instead of just getting in Coach Kerr's face and then creating a scene on the bench, him just walking away. And I think that's a good sign moving forward that Draymond, all right, he is starting to mature. He is starting to make the right decisions, and he realizes he can't act the same way as he did when he was 25. Does this mean he's no longer on going to get traded? I put that at 50-50 because if the right deal rolls along, you have to jump at it. But speaking of the right deals, Mike Dunleavy was on a podcast the other day talking about the Warriors and where he sees the team going. And he says he doesn't expect the team to go big game hunting during this trade season. And I'm not going to lie, that is total BS. And the reason that it's BS is the fact that the Warriors need to make a significant move to become championship contenders. Mike Dunleavy's offseason moves were by far the worst of any general manager in this league. And I have to guess that his seat is getting a bit hotter. And I understand that look, there's a lot of synergy and he's well liked within the organization. But end of the day, Joe Lacob wants to win another championship. And if you're going to win another championship, you need to make a significant move to turn these Warriors back into championship contenders. And him saying, oh, I don't anticipate there being a significant move. Yes, I understand that. Excuse me. But he says it's for cap reasons and it's not as easy and something may not fall into their lap. But I was looking at Kalshi, the betting market, the other day, and the odds of the Warriors trading for Giannis just rose to 9%. And I know that's not significant, but that puts them into the dark horse category for Giannis. They're slowly going to rise as the calendar shifts towards January and the dates move forward towards January 15th. Those odds are continuing to rise, mostly because all the other suitors for Giannis are not going to be interested in doing a big deal. I mean, as I said before, the Knicks, they don't want to ruin what they have right now. They're looking for synergy and depth. That's their priority. And unless something crazy happens, I don't anticipate them making a major trade for a guy like Giannis, no matter how badly the fan base wants him, just because. Them going after Giannis is basically the same as them trading for Carmelo. And we all saw how that ruined the chemistry of that great Knicks team back in 2010. So I don't anticipate them going after Giannis. And when it comes to the Heat, the other major suitor, I don't see them making a major deal because the Heat don't want to give up a lot for a guy who's going to be a free agent after the end of the next season, and then they have to give up draft picks as well as some of their young players. They'd rather bide their time and then snatch them in free agency than go and give up a lot of assets right now, especially when they're a playoff team. That leaves the likes of either the Hawks, which do own the Bucks pick this year, and the Warriors, who do have a lot of tradable assets in order to acquire Giannis. And that's why I'm not really buying what Dunleavy is selling, because one thing he talked about was the ability for Jimmy Butler to fall into the Warriors' lap after the Phoenix deal fell through. And that allowed the Warriors to acquire Jimmy for a lot less than they would have gotten. And I think the market value is overall going to be less for Giannis. Well, not less, but more tempered down for Giannis than they anticipate. And they may end up keeping him. But the offer, I was thinking about this. The offer for Giannis from the Warriors will likely be 3 first-round picks, Draymond, um, Jonathan Kuminga, and either Moses Moody or Pods to bring in Giannis, as well as maybe one or two extra like minimum pieces. I like to think Cole Anthony, who will also help out the team, and maybe one of their young big or young forwards or something like that. But that's what I anticipate the trade looking like, and those unprotected picks do have value for the Bucks, and I anticipate a third team who is it? Who the Pistons getting involved, trading and what is it? I keep forgetting his name. Trading a player to the Warriors in exchange for Draymond. And the thing is, as I said before, Draymond's value not only comes from his locker room presence, but the fact that he's on a very large expiring contract. And expiring contracts, again, are as valuable as they've been since 2010. And I was looking at that Knicks trade that they made for in exchange for Tracy McGrady just to get his expiring contract, even though he was playing like crap. They traded away unprotected first round pick, um, or yeah, it was an unprotected first round pick in 2012 and pick swaps in 2011. So they traded away a lot to get that cap space, and that's how much teams want to level out their books. So don't be surprised if this trade actually happens, because it's something that teams are really clamoring for. They want financial flexibility, and this is why I also anticipate the Bulls being major players in the trade market as well, because of all their expiring contracts, and they want to continue to build a team that can really give match up with Josh Giddey's trip to his how do I put it? Trip to his prime. So that's what I anticipate, and I feel like those odds from Kalshi are going to continue to go up, which is why Dunleavy is completely out of his element. And it's if he doesn't make a major trade that really makes the team better, he's going to be on the hot seat after after the trade deadline in February, and I would not be surprised if they give him the boot come June if they don't make it past the first round, because this entire roster is his doing, and he's got to take responsibility for it. One thing he did mention, though, that was interesting, and there's a lot of truth to this, is the fact that the Warriors' biggest issue isn't really their center problem, but their turnover problem. And he's kind of right in the sense that they're averaging like one of the worst turnover rates at 16.2 in the league. And it's just, you should not be giving up the ball that much if you are a top tier team. And if you are a top tier team, it's just, that's a nightmare, because if you're turning over the ball 16 times a game, you've got butterfingers if it's that bad. You're either getting the ball stolen or you're just losing the ball. And he's right. That does have to change, but that's not going to change if you keep the roster the way it is, because the definition of an insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. These guys aren't going to change unless you make a major paradigm shift with this team. No one game is going to do that, and yes, you will have a few games, but you have to address, or you will have a few games that turnovers are at a low, but you have to address a lot of the underlying issues, like a lack of a big, lack of depth in the front court, and a lack of a true third star. So they have to address those other underlying issues, and the turnovers will take care of themselves. But Mike Dunleavy seems to be in this delusion that it's just the turnovers and they'll fix themselves, when they won't. Now, it's Christmas, and we're finally at the start of the season for the casual fans, and we're seeing the Warriors play the Mavericks. And after last game, after the Mavericks last game, I'm really curious, because Anthony Davis had a great game, Cooper Flagg had a great game, and I haven't had the chance yet to see Cooper Flagg outside of the highlights, so I'm looking forward to this game and seeing how well he does against this Warriors defense. Now, if the Warriors just completely just die out there, this is a major red flag, because they can't handle Anthony Davis. They can't handle Cooper Flagg. I'm a little worried. But I think they will be able to handle both of them and turn this 2-game winning streak into a 3-game winning streak, and then continue this momentum going into the new year. Because after this, they have to face the Raptors, and then after that, it's the Nets, and next thing you know, they're off to the races. So I am excited about this, but it's going to be interesting to watch because there are a lot of players on the Mavs that the Warriors could potentially trade for come January and the beginning of February. So I want to see what the Mavs have and see how the Warriors overcome this challenge. But bottom line is, as I said, the Warriors have to maintain this momentum they had coming back from being 2 games under 500 to a 2 game winning streak. And they got to continue. They beat the Mavs, they beat Toronto, they beat Brooklyn, and then keep it going into the new year. And you know what? Maybe then there's a little bit of a paradigm shift that Mike Dunleavy was talking about in terms of turnovers, getting more rebounds, and just doing better against better teams and better in crunch time. But in order to do that, they have to play it game by game. And tonight's game versus the Mavericks is going to be another test that the Warriors are going to face and then overcome to keep this momentum going. Now, that's all we have today for Warriors Latest. As always, thanks again for liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. And what do you think the odds are for Giannis as of right now versus what Kalshi puts out of the Warriors trading for Giannis? Feel free to comment below, as I love hearing your ideas. And as always, go Dubs.